everyone. I hope you've had a great weekend. I'm recording this video about our turn-in assignment. I know that we're also meeting for an online session on Monday, but in event that some people aren't able to make it, I wanted to have this available because it takes a while for those online recordings from our Blackboard Collaborate sessions to load sometimes. So anyways, I'm here in the remote learning folder. So if you go down, we're done with all these past weeks. Our last one that you'll see here, and you always know there's multiple things inside if it looks like a folder over here on this side. Like that looks different than this right here. So this is a folder and says for April 6th through the 7th. That's because spring break starts this week. So you're off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from school stuff. So here it says about our session. That's the video from before, but I'm going to go ahead and click on this. Okay. And you'll always see this instructional support hours for the week. If you happen to not see that, maybe you have this little arrow clicked and so it's not showing up, but I'll post them. And again, we're off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So here's your only task for this week. This is it. We have finished chapter 7 and you're going to be doing a turn-in graded assignment. So this is the only thing that you're going to be doing. Just to read through it, first it says, in this folder, the homework answers from what you did for those review problems are listed. Please check them to make sure you're getting them. So if I click on this, again, there's a folder here. So I can click on it and there's going to be something inside. And these are those review problems. So you can check those on your own time. I'm going to go back and focus more on the assignment that you're turning in. All right, so video, I will save this video right here whenever I'm done recording it, but that's where you'll be able to access this if you don't make it to the online session on Monday. And the homework, chapter 7, turn-in graded assignment. So you're going to click this. Later it will say turn-in procedure, provide all your answers in a Google slide and share the presentation with me. I'm going to show you that whole process right now. It's very easy. So if you click on this, this is going to give you the assignment, okay? Now, the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is make a copy of it because yours is going to be view only. So you're going to go to File, and you may already know all this, make a copy of the entire presentation. So if you do that, it's going to say copy of, and that's fine if you do that. It doesn't matter to me, the name. Okay, so we have a copy here. The next thing I'd like you to do, once that loads, there we go. Now, because it's yours, you're able to edit it. Now I'd like you to go ahead and share it with me. So make sure you do that step because I won't have access to it. So I can't share it with myself, but you'll type my name in and then done, just like you did for all the other assignments. All right, so now you're able to go ahead and you're going to type in your name, your class period, 2 or 6, 7 or 9, whatever class you're in, okay? All right, the next slide. Now the reason I did it like this is because the homeworks that you guys have shown me have been awesome, but some people do their work going down, some people go across, some people have it a little bit all over the place. So it's hard to grade them with this, 80 some people. So this way it's more succinct and I can get an idea for what you're understanding. All right, quick directions. You have to show your work. Actually, I can present that, make it bigger. You have to show your work. Take a picture of your work and include it on the slide and make sure it's clear and easy to follow. I have an example so you can check that out. If the directions state to explain your reasoning, make sure you explain it. So being that we're grading this in a remote learning situation, I have this typed here. I'm looking at your thought process more than the final answer. This is maybe a really good thing in that this is kind of like real life. Like you are given a problem and you have anything essentially at your disposal. You can ask family, parents, siblings, online, Google, anything you want. And they can share those insights with you. You have all those resources. You can look through your book, anything you need. And so I'm not just going to give you factor this problem because you could go to an online thing and it would factor it for you. So instead, I want you to, that's why I'm saying explain in some cases, because I want to know your thought process. I want to make sure you understand it, not just can you give me the answer, because without being able to see where you're getting it from, it's hard for me to evaluate that solely. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, check your work. And then lastly, whoops, we'll go back. Lastly, sorry. Maybe I'll get out of presentation mode. The last thing said, feel free to add in extra slides if needed. So if you're not having enough room to fit everything on there, you can do that, and I'll show you in a moment. Okay, so back to present. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. So the questions I'm picking solely focus on the end of the chapter, so 7.5 to 7.8. So I'm giving you a sample question of what we did at the beginning of the chapter. Find the product. The directions say show and explain your work. So I showed my work and I explained it. It doesn't have to be incredibly long and in-depth. I took a picture of it. I put the picture in the slide. I'm done. Okay. Doesn't have to be anything super fancy, but it does need to be neat. I hopefully hope it's accurate, and you need to answer what they're saying. Show the work, explain when needed, and make sure you're doing that clearly, neatly, and succinctly. Okay. All right, so here we start to get into the questions. Question 1, there's only 5 questions, and there is a bonus as well. What form is this polynomial written in, standard or factored? Explain how you know. So all you're going to have to provide for me here, and if you want to even type it, you can. This is in blank form, and I know this because da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Something along those lines, okay? All right, that was part A. Here's part B, even though it just says continued. Now you're going to factor it, show your work, and explain your process. So you're going to factor this. Maybe use the X method, and if you do, I know how to do this, so you don't have to get super in-depth with your explanations, but I wanted to make sure that I understand, okay, I'm using the X method. I put these factors along the left. These are the factors of 3 that go along the right. When I cross it, I see it works. This is what fills in my first parenthesis set. This is what fills in my second. Something like that. If you do the algorithm, if you do your own method, whatever you're using, just make sure you explain it. Now, let's say you don't have enough room. You take a picture of it and it doesn't fit. So back here, if you're like, so here's in the problem I'm in, if I just hit this little plus arrow, it gives me another slide right after that. So you could write work on the next slide, you know, and then here's all your work. If you don't need that, don't worry, not necessary. All right, I'm not going to go through every problem, but you'll see question 2, factor this, explain all your work. But now we're going to get into some where it's not just factoring. So here's a word problem, draw the visual. Here, write the polynomial expression expressing the area. This one only says show your work. And then find the area, show your work. So I'm not asking all the explanations for a lot of these. Question 4, solve it, show all of your work. And question 5 ends with a word problem. There are 2 parts to it. Part C, even though it doesn't say that, is bonus. Okay, so if you want to do it, you can. 2 points possible. If you don't, that's fine too. You can just bypass it. Okay, now again, I encourage you to look through past things that we have if you find yourself getting stuck. I can help you. I'm going to grade this, but so I can't really give you the answers, but I'm happy to point you in the right direction if you're feeling completely unsure of what the problem's asking and where to start. Okay, when I do grade it, I'll be using these comment tools. So I'll add in different comments into what you're doing. This is where you could have changed or multiplied wrong or great job, whatever the case may be. Okay, and I'll get these grades back to you pretty quickly. Alrighty, so that's everything. This is the last grade of the third 9 weeks. Crazy to believe. So the grading period ends on Tuesday. This is the last thing to finish it up. I will get these in. We have a couple of days and such to get the grades back and submit them. So if you don't hear back right away, that's okay, because they aren't due for us until later next week. So I'll be grading them over the break and get them back to you, and we'll talk about those the following week. Okay? Last thing I have to say is this is, again, the only assignment you have for this week, Monday and Tuesday. If you can get this into me by Tuesday at 8 o'clock at night, that way I, can have them to grade, but that's a good cutoff point as well. All right, thank you. We're going to go over this entire thing in that online session, but if you have reason that you can't make it, now you have a video, or if you need to re-reference anything, you have this here. But as always, feel free to send me an email anytime. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. Missing you all.